SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Hi, this is Chris Keem with Cannon Ford Lincoln. Forget about the tariffs raising prices. Ford Motor Company has lowered prices. Employee pricing across the board on Ford and Lincoln products. Come see us at Cannon Ford Lincoln. When the smoke clears, nobody beats a Cannon deal. Nobody.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21. I want you to believe me, baby. I have lots of fun.
Good morning to you. Welcome to Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. What a beautiful, wonderful day on this Friday, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Dave Hughes here over in the box. Lance Talbert joins me. How you doing this morning, sir?
Good morning, Dave. Must be a Friday, man.
Yes, it is. You can tell when I'm in the house.
Yeah.
Except for Good Friday.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Everybody had a chance to take one off, take one for the team, and that's good. Christ needed us to take a day off. We all needed to get right and get ready for a big weekend. I know I enjoyed mine. It was fun. Had a lot of family and got the church in and then crashed, as you would like on a Christmas after you open presents. That was kind of the end of my Sunday. And then woke up and was like, man, I think I want to go do something. And went out and had a wonderful afternoon after that. And I hope everybody had a wonderful Easter. It's been a rainy week after Easter, though, so I hope everybody's been dry enough, but may have a little bit more in store up in the northwest part of Mississippi, though. So I hope everybody isn't too waterlogged yet, because we may get a little bit more.
Yeah, and you really hate to see it because we've got that system that's moving across. It's over in Texas right now, and it's moving up to the northeast. Every drop of water that falls into the Mississippi River continues to exacerbate the problem.
It's swelling it up.
We've got more than enough water in the Mississippi. Thank you. We can stop that for a bit, but it doesn't seem like it's going to stop anytime soon.
The Midwest did not get the memo on that. A lot of rain and has to go somewhere, doesn't it, Dave? And we seem to be the benefactor of all that juiciness from the Midwest, all those storms this time of year, and then we absorb it. And our southern delta is where we spend a lot of time. Is like a saucer. Once it backs up in there, and you've got it. Now it spills out pretty quick, as Austin Golding will tell you with Golding Barge Line. But once it gets in there, man, it's good fishing there for a little bit, and you see a lot of fun stuff, a lot of alligators, and they're kind of out running around, looking around, and everything just kind of gets dispersed for a minute, and then the water runs out, and then you have nothing but mud riding all summer. So looking forward to it.
The fishing is good.
Yeah,
where it becomes a problem is when the fishing is good in the front yard.
Oh, yeah.
That's where the problem happens.
We've had a few seasons where you could fish off the front porch of the cabin, and that's not necessarily a good thing because once you're in that situation, you can't get out of the camp. You're in, and you're kind of there for as long as it takes, unless you have a boat. And we've got folks that'll do that when the water gets real high. They'll boat in, and it's really a unique perspective, Dave. When you see something that's usually covered with trees and you've got trails and roads, and then all of a sudden it's just this big lake as far as you can see. And, you don't really have any bearing that you remember. You think the road's there. It's not. It's everything's changed. It is a unique perspective. I know a lot of folks from that part of the country and Mississippi get tired of it.
Kind of
trust me. I know how you feel. It's
kind of takes you takes you back to the days of Lewis and Clark. Man. You got to navigate with your sextant by the sun and the stars.
It is. But again, hopefully we won't have that kind of flooding this year, and we'll get the water out of there, and everybody will enjoy, their summer as it comes up. But we got to get through the spring first, and everybody needs the rain. We need that juice and God's nectar to get all the stuff ready to go, because we'll get into that heat of the summer. I mean, we're at 81 right now. I think we're going to have some pretty warm temperatures coming. I'm not poor Richard, but that would be my guess. When you see the mosquitoes and the gnats and everything out, and the 40-degree weather, they're ambitious. I can already tell they're ambitious this year. They've got a game plan. So, but hopefully we'll have a good weekend. You will have some rain, it looks like. So, especially over in the Delta, 50% chance of showers today. Low around 68. Probably won't be around there for too terribly long with the humidity and everything. So, high of around 81 today. And across the state, I think mostly the rain is going to be limited to the Mississippi River area of the state, about Vicksburg north. And as it kind of pushes across, it's just slowly making its way. So there is some red and yellow in there around Greenville. So I would be careful out there as everyone's getting to work this morning, especially in the Delta, where it can be a little dark sometimes on some of those roads. Just be careful. We've had a lot of rain, and the routine this week. Make sure the bright lights aren't bright lighting people, and watch out for those flooded troughs of water in the road.
You're very dangerously close to getting me started on the LED super high beam from Krypton light bulbs that they're putting in the vehicles now.
Yeah, I think it's straight from the sun, where some of those are coming from. But yeah, I upgraded recently. I didn't go with the highest. I don't even think they made the ones that were in my original 2013 FJ Cruiser. I finally had to change the light bulbs in it, and I did it myself. That was one of those things you're like, man, I haven't ever had to do this on the FJ, and it was a little bit of an interesting thing. My hands, I've got somewhat of hands like kind of a bear, and they don't really get in the easy places sometimes. And the little hole that you got to put your hand in to get into the FJ Cruiser light's not necessarily made for a 6'4" American. I think, maybe Japanese hands are a little smaller. I don't know, but it was. The girl who did the tutorial on YouTube, her hands were perfect for doing it. Mine, it was a little struggle bust there, but it got done. But they're brighter, I'll tell you that, man. It's much brighter. And I hope that I'm not like running people off the road, but you're doing that to me, so.
Yeah, fair's fair at that point. You're literally fighting fire with fire at that point.
Throwing it back at you. But so I didn't go with the highest of the the illegal ones that you can order off the internet. I did stick within the law. I'm a law.
I have been hit by some of those nighttime driving here in Mississippi, and it's one thing to go home and be a little dazzled. It's another to literally have headlight burn on your face when you get to the house.
Brother, I've thought about, like I've said, people in here know my dad. He loved the late night order stuff off TV, and we had all the junk you could imagine, and most of it was junk. But there are a couple of things you'd get would actually be pretty interesting. But the amber vision glasses that, the yellow frames, he still has a pair floating around, and but they make those eagle eyes ones now for driving at night. I've thought about ordering them just to see if they're worth it. And you get like 10 pair for $2. So, that's how I need to order sunglasses, because mine, I go through sunglasses like most people probably go through socks. But yeah, so I've thought about getting those just to see if they work. So if anybody has any, product reviews on the take the light out of your eyes, drive with eagle eyes, at night. I'm curious if it works, because I have sensitive eyes. It does get a little bit old at times, but
well, I have
play
to
the
get
game, don't you, Dave?
I get the anti-reflective coating on my glasses for just that reason. That, and I spend a lot of time looking at screens.
I think they've come out with a new lens for Democrats called Perspectives, but I'm not sure if they're out yet. They'll be pink and purple and,
Does it have special lenses that makes everything look upside down? So to them, it might look right side up for a change?
Yeah, exactly. You don't even see a judge as a judge. They're just activists, everything is an activist, and you're an influencer,
and I would assume
and you move to England real easily.
It's like Scotland. Is it like would those lenses be like the old gag glasses that they used to sell with the googly eyes on the springs?
So.
That's what it should be.
I hope so. Yeah.
I will pay money to see AOC wearing a pair of those.
Hey, man, if you can go back on this day in history, and I didn't have that pulled up, but this was in 2017, a federal judge blocked President Donald J. Trump from withholding funds to sanctuary cities. And so it's funny how you can go full circle in a short period of time. Usually trends in those types of cycles take a little bit longer to go, maybe 80 years, 60, 20 years, but no, 4 years, roughly. You've had Biden in there, but 2017 to 2025, less than 10 years, and you're seeing full circle the activist judges and trying to block Trump, and people are kind of going, oh my God, what are they doing? The same thing they were doing in 2017.
That's what amazes me. That's what amazes me is the performative surprise and shock at what's going on.
What did you think was going to happen?
That must have been one heck of a nap the last decade if you are surprised by any of this.
Exactly.
It's the way it's been working for a while. You can almost call their plays for them at this point. But I don't want to do that because I don't enjoy throwing up in my mouth. We will continue on this Friday morning on Mornings, and we'll do it with Lance. And some good news out of the draft last night, by the way, Lance, for Mississippi.
Good stuff, big night.
Couple of nice things. We'll talk about that when we come back here on Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi.
He ain't trying to change nobody. He's just trying real hard to adjust.
From the Venable.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Well, I ain't superstitious, but a black cat is crossing my train. Well, I ain't superstitious, black cat is crossing my train.
Welcome back, Super Talk Mississippi. Mornings on a Friday morning. Dave Hughes here, Lance over in the booth. I just want to throw it out there nice and early. We can talk about it more if you want, but we had two Ole Miss players that were selected in the first round of the NFL draft last night.
Huge. I mean, I was really excited when you see Walter Nolan come off the board at 16. That was a great pick, too, for the Cardinals. Defensive tackle, really just a havoc wreaker in there. You pair him up with somebody, and that's going to be a heck of a defensive line. The last one we had that went there, it didn't really put in the effort, time, or really pan out as you would hope to with Kim Dichie, but hopefully Walter Nolan will. Great work ethic and a high motor, so hopefully he'll have a long career. Then, you get a little later in the draft, and the Giants traded up to get another pick in the first round, and they were early in the game with Abdul Carter, the edge rusher out of Penn State. Heck of a player, too. Great one to have. But at the 25th pick, Jackson Dart comes off the board, goes to the New York Giants. So we have kind of a repeat going on here with we had a famous son one day named Eli Manning that it was kind of a crazy draft day back those many years.
Yeah, it was.
Kind of a crazy day, and gets drafted by the Chargers, and there was this big hubbub and hoopla and protest, and all of a sudden he's a Giants player. Well, it's a little easier for Dart on this one. He got picked up by the Giants in the 25th. As I said, they traded up to get that. With Shedeur Sanders still on the board, that shocked some people. But the way Jackson Dart handled himself in the camps and all the evaluations, it shouldn't have shocked anyone that he had moved up the board quite a bit and had performed as we had seen him and were accustomed to watching him in college. So hopefully he'll have a great opportunity to play and get in there and do some good for the Giants. Giants hadn't really had a whole lot lately, so we'll see what they pair him up with because, as you know in the NFL, the brand isn't as important as the players you surround everyone with. So
yes.
You got to have the players, too. And Abdul Carter, great one. I'm curious to see how that offensive line for the Giants gets put together.
Let me ask you a question here. because you mentioned Shedeur Sanders sitting at home. By the way, ESPN cut to a live shot of him at home, and he had the NFL Network on instead. So suddenly they had technical difficulties with the live feed. It's amazing how coincidentally that can happen sometimes. But what do you think the problem is with him? There's a lot of people saying he's just not as skilled as some of the other people in the draft. Personally, I think the biggest problem that you have with Shedeur Sanders is the perception that he's in some ways going to be a problem organizationally for a team. And
I don't know if problem, I think it's a good way to put it. I also think, from my perspective, is that you have such he's a magnanimous person. He's a big personality. He comes from a monolithic father who was a Hall of Famer, Pro Bowler. I mean, I think you look at that as an organization and say, do we want the player to be bigger? Do we want the family or the entourage or the hoopla to be bigger than the game or bigger than the team? And that's a big thing you've got to deal with. I would imagine if I was sitting there as the general manager of Washington or New York or teams like that where you have this, huge media presence, I'm not sure that would have been the route I went. I think I would have gone the Jackson Dart route because I think you're getting a real predictable element there. And not saying that Shedeur's not a great player. We'll find out how good he is in the pros. As we will all of these guys, because it's not just how good they are, it's how good the team is around them. But in the case here, I think that you're looking for, if you're an NFL team, what kind of circus do you want too? Because it could be a great thing. I mean, you saw what happened at Colorado. It sold tickets. But it needed to be the right fit. And also, I also believe that Deion is extremely outspoken, Coach Prime, and that may scare some off. Or also, maybe he doesn't want to be at Colorado forever, and he's kind of wanting to find that fit where he can move into the NFL and be a part of the growth of Shedeur moving forward. So I'm not sure, but there obviously is going to be a lot going on behind the scenes if Deion Sanders is involved. So, but I think the first pick was honestly, it wasn't hard to figure that one out that Cam Ward was likely going to be the first.
Everybody saw that coming.
The kid can sling it, man. He's experienced. He's played. This was his third school. He played at Incarnate Word. It's hard to say Cam Ward from Incarnate Word. That's a tongue twister, but
that's almost rude.
Yeah, exactly. And then he spent some time out west, and then he comes in and plays at Miami and has a great season. So the guy can fling it, man, and he really is. He's mobile enough. He's not one of these guys who's going to run it around all over the place. So you see him potentially at 6'2", 220, having a pretty long career if he can keep flashing that arm. And then you saw, the Panthers? The Jags go get Travis Hunter. So I mean, it was.
Kind of saw that coming too.
Hard to disagree with any time you pick Travis Hunter. I would have gone with him number 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever he was available. So that was a smart pick. And then Abdul Carter with Penn State. The one that got me though, and I love the name because. You don't hear that too much. And Jihad Campbell out of Alabama. Jihad Jones has a better ring, but it's Jihad Campbell. And but yeah, he was the 31st pick. Great linebacker out of Alabama. Had some good SEC flair in there, but again, Ohio State threw out tons of players. I mean, you see why they were so good. They've still got a bevy waiting to be drafted, but the one that I thought was interesting was Raiders and Ashton Jeanty, the Boise State running back, who just absolutely set records everywhere. That kid is a beast. I'm curious to see how the Raiders will use him. But again, the running back just hasn't had the staying power. Maybe you'll get one here and there that's just really dominant. I'm curious how this guy will pan out in the NFL. I mean, he's not a Derrick Henry size freight train, so you never know. A little disappointed in the Saints draft, honestly, going with an offensive tackle at 9 with a great player and Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas, but I don't know. There's just a lot of folks out there that would be going, well, we need some player. We need a quarterback. And you go get the offensive tackle. So, you always look at these things, at draft day. It's just a big circus. I mean, it's just a bunch of guys getting picked and then, but at the end of the day, they still got to actually get out there and hit somebody for it to be worth anything. And we'll see.
Two comments on the whole Saints thing. Number one, you know this just as well as I do. How good your quarterback is in large part relies on how good your offensive line is.
Sure, yeah.
You got good guys up there. You and I could make a decent run at quarterback. We wouldn't be spectacular, but we could be pretty good. We'd look good if the offensive line is star. Number two, it was whatever the opposite of an embarrassment of riches is when it comes to draft time for the Saints, because they need everything right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they made a good pick, honestly. When you're going with a tackle, but that early at 9, with skilled players out there that potentially could put a lot of points on the board for you, I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But anytime you draft a rookie offensive lineman and go, okay, he's going to be the guy. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm a little skeptical, but
maybe in a few years,
maybe in a couple of years, he'll be an All-Pro every season, and maybe he will be a rookie type player as well. But we'll just have to see. But again, the Saints a lot of needs there, and I'm sure a lot of fans out there going, man, I was really hoping they would pick Jackson Dart or Sanders or one of those types of players to really kind of the star power. Didn't have that, but. Maybe there'll be some fireworks for the Saints here in the latter rounds. Again, Shedeur Sanders is still on the board, and a lot of great players are. I know Ole Miss has got quite a few that they're hoping will see significant paychecks here in round 2 and potentially in round 3. So, but a good day for Ole Miss, and again, the SEC was well represented in there. You even had a Missouri player that was in there at number 7, and I don't remember him very well, but he has a heck of a name. And Amand Membu, offensive tackle from Missouri. Again, one of those you just the tackles, you don't notice them for a reason because they're good.
Yeah, exactly right.
Those are the guys.
With Sanders, I think I wonder if it's also not a little bit of pushback from teams after Deion went on the Eli Manning, we're looking for an Eli deal. We're going to put him where I want him to go, not where you want to take him. A little bit of a pushback from that, like, oh, you think you're going to run us? Okay.
I think I would worry about that. I would too if I was a professional program like that with $1 billion of market brand worth and all that. I don't know if I would want that Deion Sanders kind of energy coming in, because these are businesses, right? These are extremely well-oiled machines, and I think you'll have to find the right fit if you're going to invite in Coach Prime to be a part of it too.
Well, and the other problem with that attitude, Shedeur Sanders talented. He's good.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He's no Eli Manning.
No, and he may turn into All-Pro again, and you can only find that out when you get there and put in the time. There's a lot of quarterbacks I've seen that you didn't think would be worth a dang, and the pros ended up being great. So, I think it's a lot about dedication, work ethic, and that drive and fire that keeps you going when others go, all right, I'm done for the day.
Yeah, exactly. We continue on this Friday morning on Mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Next.
From Sumner to Summit to Summerall, Richard has something for you. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Walks down the street, he says, why am I short of attention? Got a short little span of attention, and all my nights are so long. Where's my wife and family? What if I die here? Who'll be my role model now that my role model is gone? Duck back down the alley with some roly-poly little bat-faced girl. All along, there were incidents and accidents. There were hints and allegations. If you'll be my bodyguard, I can be your long-lost pal.
I hope you're thinking of Chevy Chase. Yeah.
No, I'm just horrified to admit that always the phrase in that song, some roly-poly little bat-faced girl, always reminds me of somebody I know. I'm not going any further with that. I'm just saying. Yeah, well, he did such a great job with that song with painting the picture, if you will.
Oh, yeah. What a genius, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Really good. And then to throw Chevy in there in the video. I always love the video when Chevy Chase is, he's such a goofball anyway, but especially in the earlier years. But I always found that to be a pretty great video. Just very simple Great song.
Yeah.
Great songwriter. Hey, and I wish I could find an update for you folks on the Ridgeland RV shooting. And
I was looking earlier. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find anything to actually give you an update on that. Yes, there was a crazy event that happened last night, and I do not have much to share with you at this moment, and I will keep digging to find an update on that, but it was obviously someone was shooting it seemingly from an RV or some type of structure like that, and then again, there was also that would be the big one, and so I'll let you know when I find something, but just nothing there yet. So I do apologize not having an update ready for y'all.
Well, you had that. You had the person barricaded in the RV. There was a wrecked vehicle nearby. Mm-hmm. It was a chaotic scene, and law enforcement said that the details were scarce last night, and that hasn't really changed. Maybe as the morning continues on, we'll get some more details about exactly what happened and what led up to that, because that's kind of a unique situation that happened.
Very much so. Again, heard quickly about it. The information was extremely scant, and I can imagine why, because obviously, you have a crazy situation developing, and you want to understand it and be able to get the facts out to the people, and maybe at this moment that is still in that gray matter where we don't quite know enough to let it out. So I imagine there will be something that pops this morning, and we'll keep you updated on that as we find it. And it's obviously a lot of fireworks going on everywhere. But one thing just early is Pakistan and India saber rattling over the Kashmir region again. And one thing I wanted to say about that is we forget in this country that religious freedom has great value and is a respect that we offer each and every one. There's not many places around the planet that you're going to go where two distinctly different religions actually are able to cohabitate. And there you have Hindi and you have Muslim. And that for a long time, duly administered province almost. It's an Indian state, but duly administered. It's the craziest thing when you go try to make heads or tails out of what's going on. And then you put this on top of it, a water crisis there in that region too. So you pay attention because both are extremely mad and are promising military strikes, tit for tat, as they say, if anything kinetic. I love the words they were using. Yeah. Somebody pulled out the Merriam-Webster's dictionary to do the press conference. But, that's an area I'd pay attention to right now as some of the craziness is going on in the world. That Kashmir region could erupt any moment into something way bigger than what's going on.
Here was the detail when that story broke this week that just leapt off the screen at me. Because when the initial attack happened, there were several people killed, and it was in the news reports that several of the people that were killed were tourists in Kashmir. Who's taking a vacation to Kashmir right now, especially?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a vacation spot to me, but
no.
The group that claimed responsibility was fairly unknown, but yet with the name like the Kashmir Resistance, at least they named themselves something that you can understand their mission. Some of those groups, you really never know what they stand for, but apparently these folks, the previously unknown militant group Kashmir Resistance, is going to be much well known now as the Indian government is looking to rout out whoever pulled this off and track them down. So that will lead to Pakistan having a problem with what India is doing, and has said all along now that got to be careful, India, because if you do something, we're going to do it in return. Two countries with a lot of weapons and a lot of people that are used to fighting in those areas. So very sketchy situation developing over there right now.
Tensions continue to rise.
Yes.
Globally. We're kind of focused. Everyone is having, well, I'm not going to say
focused. That's why I mentioned it, because it's one of those spots that you just don't consider that could get ugly quick.
Yes, and I would like to rephrase that. it's not necessarily that everyone is focused on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Everyone's attention is being directed towards the Ukraine-Russia conflict.
Right, and with Putin's actions in the last few days and Trump really getting on Putin, and then another strike, yesterday, killing more people, and then Ukraine stepping up as well. So, there's a lot going on here in the month of April that it seems to not really be front and center in the news cycle for whatever reason. And what we do hear a lot about is Tren de Aragua gang members being, forcibly taken from their jail cell and brought back to the United States so they can use your tax dollars and hang out in your neighborhood and, maybe shoot at somebody or rob somebody. And we'll just keep bringing them back. So that's seemingly what we're focused on, but there is quite a bit going on out there. And obviously the Israeli and Hamas. So those are all things. The new one, though, which is the Kashmir area. So
that's what we needed, was a new one. We needed another one.
And again, two conflicting, extremely divergent religious and political mindsets there that don't get along. And what's new in many places on this planet. So I'm kind of saying that now. We need to be thankful, I think, at how good we have it here sometimes. I know we don't all get along. We don't all like each other and don't all see things eye to eye, but we do respect one another enough. I think that you go, okay, well, if you believe that, that's okay. You want to have amber vision glasses and purple hair and, and drive a hot rod as long as it's street, you're good too. So there are freedoms here. And I think that we need to remember that and be respectful that we're not all alike. That makes us great. But at the same time, there's something amazing about America that allows the freedoms that we get. And that's, I know it sounds like a kind of like a sermon. I don't mean it to be. But, we have it really good here, and we need to make it better.
I would just like to point out the three descriptors that Lance threw out of someone you might be upset with. Driving a hot rod. Okay, he's kind of there. Amber vision glasses. He's already said that he's interested in that. So now we're down to waiting. It's now purple hair watch time for Lance.
Yeah, I might get
He'll come in with a dye job one morning.
I might go with that, with the rainbow and, just to throw everybody off. What do they call that? The galaxy or whatever?
I will drive to Jackson and whoop your behind. I'm not even joking.
No, I couldn't pull it off. I don't have enough. I think it would all fall out probably as soon as I did that.
Yeah, that's the problem. When you don't have much left to play with, you don't play with it.
Well, we have a big weekends for everybody in the SEC. Obviously, Ole Miss has Vanderbilt. Mississippi State needs to continue logging some W's in conference play. They got Auburn. Auburn's number 11. Vandy's number 9. So it doesn't get easy. But State does travel to Auburn for that Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. Ole Miss, same Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Be in Oxford for that one. I think Cross is going to be doing 2 of those games, so y'all tune in. Southern Miss will have Appalachian State. They will be traveling up to Boone, North Carolina. Beautiful Boone, North Carolina for those matchups. And Southern having a great season. And I have to give my guy here, Monastir, credit. I think if there's a ball that's been thrown across the plate lately, I think he's won games and hit them out of the park. So great work, and y'all keep it up. Jake Cook and the crew doing amazing work down there, and looking forward to how the back end of the season comes together for Southern Miss. Everybody else will be playing too, and you never know with the weather. Stay tuned. Delta State will have Mississippi College, so big deal in Clinton, Mississippi. That'll start on Friday. So if you're in the neck of the woods, get on over to Frierson Field and watch that one. Great setting. 2 really good teams this year will be battling it out for the GSC. And let's see here. I had William Carey for you also, 32-12. Carey just doing what they normally do, just winning baseball games, just beating folks. They had a little lull in there. As everybody does in a baseball season. They dropped one yesterday, 11-4 to Loyola. They will be back on the diamond today against Loyola University of New Orleans down in Hattiesburg, 1:00 today. And then let's see, I had one other thing for you. This is playoff weeks for so many things in baseball and softball. You have, what was it here? Yeah, I'm in softball. Top 5 in high school softball as of this week. Hernando at 27-1, South Panola 25-2, George County 24-2, Northwest Rankin 24-4, and DeSoto Central 23-3. That gives you the top 5 there. Most of all those big schools, and I'll try to get y'all some more as the softball, and we're in 1, 2, 3, and 4A right now in both high school softball and baseball, I believe. So as we get through more of that, I will share those scores next week, and that'll be our sports for the day.
I would like to say, if I'm playing William Carey right after they lost a game, I'm nervous.
Better watch out. Better watch out.
Yeah. Next, lottery. Get your wallet ready. We'll stuff it full right after this.
From the Venable Glass.
Morning, partner. The sun is up, the coffee is on, and you're starting your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Yeah, baby. I have yet to meet a person that doesn't like money and doesn't want more of it. And the Mississippi Lottery can help you do that. We've got our numbers from yesterday and from the week. And there's a lot of money out there to be claimed, to be won if you just go buy your ticket. Lotto America, no jackpot winner in the last drawing on Wednesday. Those numbers were 18, 24, 34, 40, 42. The Star Ball was 8. The All-Star bonus multiplier was 3. Estimated jackpot for tomorrow night's drawing, $31.55 million. The estimated cash value will be $14.47 million. Powerball, no jackpot winner. The numbers on Wednesday were 15, 44, 63, 66, 69. The Powerball was 20 and the Power Play multiplier was 2. Now, the estimated jackpot for tomorrow night's drawing on the Powerball, $168 million. The estimated cash value for that, if you take the lump sum cash payment, $77.1 million. Wednesday was the last double play drawing. Those numbers were 37, 42, 49, 54, 66, and the Powerball that was drawn was 26. Mega Millions, next drawing for that is tonight. No jackpot winner on Tuesday. They drew the numbers 25, 39, 49, 52, 65, and the Mega Ball 22. Jackpot for tonight, even $60 million. The estimated cash value for that, if you take the lump sum payment again, $26.9 million. Mississippi Match 5, you guessed it, no jackpot winner. Thursday night's drawing last night, 5, 9, 19, 27, and 33. The jackpot for tonight, $116,000. The Cash 3, Cash 4, Fireball, and Cash Pop games. Yesterday for Cash 3, the $500 game, the midday drawing gave us 9, 6, and 5. The evening drawing was 1, 6, and 9. The Cash 4, $5,000 game, the midday drawing, 5, 2, 7, 9. The evening drawing, 7, 7, 8, 3. Fireball, midday they pulled a 5, evening they pulled a 3, and on Cash Pop, for the midday drawing, they drew 1, the number 1. The evening drawing was a 10. This is interesting. The Lotto America jackpot, an entire year without a winner. The one we were talking about, very first numbers we went through, $31.55 million. It's the second largest jackpot in Lotto American history. That's a big milestone, and come on, guys, we got to break that here with the Mississippi Lottery, right? Next drawing, tomorrow night, it would be our first ever Lotto America jackpot winner, and the first winner from anywhere in a year. So go ahead and go get your tickets now because it's past due to have a jackpot winner there. The Mississippi Lottery has announced the second winner of the 2025 NASCAR Powerball Playoff, a winner from Florida. $12,000 to cash prize and a shot to compete in the National NASCAR Powerball Playoff for $1 million. Every year they do this. It features 7 qualifying races and 15 total Mississippi winners. All of them advance to the National NASCAR Powerball Playoff for a chance at that $1 million grand prize. A year before last, 2023, West Point native Stephanie Walker won the $1 million prize. It's doable. Next drawing is scheduled for Thursday, May the 8th, so 2 weeks from yesterday. 2 lucky players will each win a $4,000 prize plus the $1,000 early bird bonus. If you want to enter, go to mslottery.com and click the bonus promos tab to find out more. Winners from yesterday, cash for woman in Macomb, $1,350 she won. A New Hebron woman won $1,540 ticket that she bought in Prentice. A Gloucester woman won $2,600 on a ticket that she bought in Macomb. And a Grand Bay, Alabama man won $6,300 on cash for on two tickets that he bought in Moss Point. And Cash Pop, we had a couple of Cash Pop winners. Again, a Macomb man, $1,000 on a purchase in Macomb. And an Ackerman man won $1,250 on a ticket that they bought in Ackerman. So the winning is happening. Don't get left out. As I have been known to say many times, they have done scientific studies. They have proven that your chances to win go up greatly if you buy a ticket. So go and get yourself a chance at some riches. I also encourage Lance to go buy a ticket so that he can buy me something nice.
I'll get you some Amber Vision sunglasses, baby.
Oh, there we go. And knowing him, it'll also come with a bottle of purple hair dye. I know exactly how this works. Yeah.
The Mississippi purple of Peeps color, the Peeps purple.
I like Peeps, but then I'm weird that way. Mississippi Lottery, go check it out. Go take your chance. You might be pleasantly surprised. You probably will be, to be perfectly honest with you. We have news from Fox News, SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then hour number 2 of mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi next.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
No matter where you're from, Abbeville, Batesville, DeIberville, or any other ville in the SIP, you're starting your day off right. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
What's a frequency cannabis you're meant to drink?
You know I had to play it today.
Had to play it. Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here, and this hour of Mornings with Richard Cross brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business, tough. It's not easy. If you're struggling with HR benefits and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can give you a full range of employer services and a custom plan that fits you and your business. You can call today at 601-206-7966 or go to mwgemployerservices.com for more information. Figure we'll start this hour, Lance. I don't know if you saw it, but last night, about 6 o'clock, the governor made a post online about a piece of legislation we've been watching all year long. He made a post about the changes to the Certificate of Need program. And I'm just going to, it's lengthy, but I'm going to read his post as it's written, okay? Governor Tate Reeves, I'm looking at it on Facebook, said, I have been a champion for increased competition and more healthcare delivery options in our state by knocking down barriers to entry, and I commend the Mississippi legislature and specifically Speaker Jason White for proposing and ultimately passing much needed and long overdue revisions to the Certificate of Need laws in House Bill 569. Unfortunately, due to an 11th hour floor amendment added in the Mississippi Senate, my duty to faithfully adhere, yeah, you know what's coming. My duty to faithfully adhere to the Mississippi Constitution and the U.S. Constitution requires me to veto this bill in its current form. Specifically, the amendment, and then he calls names here. Well, one name. Specifically, the amendment added by Public Health Chairman Hob Bryan from Amory is not simply bad public policy, but it violates the doctrine of separation of powers. If I have said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I believe we should not have certificate of need laws in Mississippi. But to the extent the legislature chooses to maintain those laws, they must be applied fairly and equally to all market participants. The added lines 1301 through 1310 of the amended House Bill 569 seeks to amend the law to require the DOH to issue a certificate of need to a specific entity in a specific city. This mandatory legislative directive to issue a CON circumvents the objective statutory requirements that must be met, necessarily creating a market imbalance. He talks on for a while. He ends it by saying, "It is for these reasons I must veto an otherwise worthy piece of legislation. Should the Mississippi legislature agree to remove the Senate floor amendment to House Bill 569 and return it to my desk, I stand ready to sign such a bill."
Well, apparently he's got a big problem with lines 1301 through 1310 of the amended House Bill 569. Seems to be a big hanging point there. But I will say this about Governor Reeves. I don't know if we've ever had a governor that is more to the point when he speaks. And I'll say, when he doesn't agree with something, he tells you and tells you why. And I have a great deal of respect for that amount of transparency and openness as to how he thinks and why he arrives at decisions. It is very refreshing to see and to understand how you get to these points. And here is the problem, and this is why it's a problem, and these are the things that I don't agree with. That's a very refreshing way to go about things. And I think that's what we all hope for, is transparency.
Well, and that's what's sad, though. It is refreshing, but it's refreshing because it has so rarely happened in the recent past.
It's not.
It's not the way it has worked for, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So you've got someone that comes along like this, and I've got the same exact brags for Governor Reeves on this. Yeah. He came right out, laid it out. He was going to veto it, but he explains exactly why he's going to veto it, and says, you get rid of this one problem, I'll sign it. This is the This is the entire problem. So there's no back and forth. There's no opportunity for everyone to rush forward and speculate on why he might have vetoed. Oh no. He told you. Chapter and verse told you exactly why he's vetoing that bill. I will say, though, and I agree with one thing that he had in there, and I know that this is his opinion. It's been mine as well, when he said, if I have said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, I believe we should not have certificate of need laws in Mississippi. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, do away with the whole thing. Just wad it up, chunk it in the trash, let's move on.
Yeah, when something is proven not to work, I mean, let's look at why, and if you can get rid of it, let's get rid of it. I'm not big on continuing to fund something and try something that is proven to be ineffective.
Well, to me, the entire problem with the certificate of need laws in Mississippi is... quite simply, it is literally a speed bump put in the path of the free market. Mm-hmm. It's literally a roadblock that is put up to where, yes, may the best person win, except for you two. We're going to build a quick wall in front of you in your lane, and you got to get over or around that before you can take off. All the other areas of the economy, you have at it. Go, have fun. And I realize it's a more complicated topic than that. At the same time, I would love to hear an explanation of how we managed to make it as a state without that law before it was put into place.
Competition is healthy.
Yes,
it has to exist, and it has to be in a way that there is a free market, and that the government is not choosing winners and losers, or even participants, for that matter. If you come to the table and you fit the needs of the certification processes and all those things that exist, I'm for open business. I'm for open trade, free trade, all that. So anything that restricts business from functioning and offering the lowest cost product with the highest value to the customer, that's all I care about. Whoever it is, whatever product it is, want the highest quality and the lowest price possible.
Yes.
Spent, a long time in finance. That's hard to find, but at the end of the day, yeah, I'm a free market guy. I want the consumer to have choices, and I want the consumer to have the highest quality for the best price. So however you get to that, you get roadblocks out of the way. Generally, you get closer to that. When you start trying to set the participants, prices generally have a tendency to go up, right, Dave?
Right, exactly. That's the way it always works. And in this particular instance, I very much agree with his reasoning behind it. Okay, if we're going to do this, it has to apply to everyone.
Everybody.
You can't pick and choose some people and go, oh, yeah, but you're okay. Don't worry.
Right.
We'll take care of that for you.
Well,
okay.
and I'm Douglas Carswell, with Mississippi Center for Public Policy. He is one of the greatest advocates of transparency. Whatever it is, let's just get it out in the open, ask the tough questions, and if this can't go through this time, at least everybody knows what the hanging points are, what the strengths are. And I love that. That mindset. People should be informed. People should know what the problems are, and people should know what the solutions are. And if legislators cannot get together and do that, and that's why we don't get things done. But at least, hopefully, we have folks like Mississippi Center for Public Policy and MEC and all these others out there that are watching over these processes and going, all right, this doesn't look like it's very open, or this is one of the most amazingly open architecture types of bills we have. And I think that's a very great service that those folks do to our, in the watchdog side and information to our listeners and us. Because again, that's what we want. We want the truth. That's what we're here for. We do editorialize and give you opinion and funny. But at the end of the day, our goal is to find the truth. And
exactly.
That's it.
Because if you don't find the truth and if you don't have the truth, how can you then editorialize? Yeah. That has been a problem with a lot of people over the last decade. We
don't want to make it up, right? We're not trying to make up the truth and not trying to give you information. There's plenty of stories. We don't have to embellish anything. And
my question is, going off of the governor's statement, if anyone, and obviously this was a Senate amendment to the House bill that they passed before it was sent to the governor, my question is, if the entire Senate thinks this isn't good for one particular place or several different places, that we're going to make sure that they have to give you this no matter what, then how is it good for anyone?
Yeah, I mean, again, you want less roadblocks to competition. And again, I'm not quite sure what the reasoning is and what the specific locale may be that is in question here, but I'm a competition guy. So, and I'll stick to that as an ex-athlete and all that. I'm the person I am today because I had to get out there, roll my sleeves up and compete. And sometimes people are better than you at that. And it hopefully drives you to get better at your job or what you do. And if it doesn't, then go home and cry about it.
Yes. And if you look at the macro picture, no matter whether I win or you win or that guy over there wins, the state overall wins when the best one comes out on top. That's right. The way it's supposed to work, right?
Exactly.
But no, you've got to check this box, touch third base before you touch second, and then go back and touch it again on the way home, or the run doesn't count. To me, an awkward way to do business. We continue with mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi right after this. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass.
All right, now to the important stuff.
Your VIP pass to hear what the most influential Mississippians are talking about.
This is very important. Huge news.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
I just passed a Jimmy and a white. I've been passing everything in sight. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight. But it seems like a month since I kissed my baby goodbye. I could have a lot of women, but I'm not like a some other guy. I could find one to hold me tight, but I could never make believe it's alright. 6 days on the road and I'm gonna make it home tonight.
Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Richard out on Fridays. Dave Hughes here.
Richard's out on Fridays, really?
Yes. I didn't know if you'd gotten that memo.
No, they didn't tell me, man.
He's so surprised every week when he walks in and I show up.
Oh, my God, it's Dave. Hey, man, on the certificate of need laws, just to finish up that, we had a question. Could you explain certificate of need law? Sure, of course. The purpose of con laws is to control health care costs by discouraging providers from investing in medical facilities or equipment or expanding deemed unnecessary. Okay, so you're going to go through these processes that deal with that. New York was really the first state to pass certificate of need laws way back in 1964. In 74, the federal government also passed certificate of need laws applicable to all states. But, it was the same thing, just to try to limit healthcare costs. However, because con laws did not actually put costs in them, the federal government actually repealed the con laws back in the 80s. And additionally, most con laws were basically the rationale for them by the 80s was gone. So, the end of the day, what it really does, unfortunately, sometimes it protects the larger guys from competition. And that's one of the risks you take, So these rules don't necessarily, limit, the cost as much as they do competition. And I think that's really where we are with the laws. And I like Governor Reeves, I'm not a fan of them at all. I think you're creating impediments to growth and competition that seem to favor the large corporation. And, okay, that's okay if they're the best and the less expensive, right? And they're the most innovative. But
let me just say, this is a rather systemic problem in a lot of areas, not just healthcare, but healthcare certificate of need laws specifically lean in this direction to me. It seems like the solution to a problem that no longer exists.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's so many problems that we could throw into the world of healthcare. I will go back to the ACA and saying that, it did zero into which it actually was destined to do. I went through that thing for a year. Basically decided to hang up finance after going through that. I was brain dead, and said, okay, if this is where we're going, this is going to raise costs 400% or 500%. Well, and exactly did that. And so, when you go to these single providers and these types of things and you put a lot of layers in the middle, costs always go up. I don't care what government tells you. They can tell you, this is going to do this, and we're going to have buying power and all that. Tell me what PBMs have done for you.
Tell me about the cost of Twinkies at the grocery store right now. It's everything.
Well, and we had a great, Richard Robertson yesterday with Mississippi Hospital Association made an interesting comment, and he's a very smart guy, but he goes, you don't get to go to Kroger and get a bag of groceries and then leave without paying for it. Some people do. Some people do, okay? You don't get to go to the hospital and get heart surgery and not pay for it. Well, some people do. And that's one of the issues we have in our country is what are we running? Are we running a business or are we running a service? And in a lot of cases, we're doing both. We're trying to wear two hats. It's very difficult to do.
Well, and that goes back to trying to make everybody happy.
Sure.
I have always said, and I hold this up as a universal truth, if whatever you're doing isn't making someone very, very mad at you because you're doing it, it's probably not worth doing. To progress, to achieve any better situation in any area of life, you're going to have to tick somebody off. Even if it's as simple as, well, I guess they think they're all high and mighty now. Look at them. Huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're going to tick somebody off by improving life. If you're not upsetting anyone, what are you doing? You're just wasting time. And I feel like we have a system set up to where we try to appease everyone in every direction at all times, and that's not ultimately workable long term.
Things change, right? Life is full of change. Who lived where 50 years ago doesn't mean they're going to be living there today. Look at Jackson, Mississippi. Great example. And this is not in any way some knock on Jackson. But since 1980, basically since the big flood, population has been shifting out of Jackson. So, how do you solve that problem? And same is happening in rural communities all over Mississippi. Now, there are great advancements being made in the types of jobs and quality of life in many smaller, more remote places that we've seen traditionally in Mississippi that don't have access to great jobs. And so people have been forced to leave. And I think our state's done a wonderful job of pulling in great businesses and investments that hopefully continue to gainfully employ Mississippians all over. We've seen a great advancement in Spark and getting rural internet out so people can actually live in more rural areas. But populations shift. That building you built 50 years ago may not have any value today if nobody's living there consuming it, what's inside of that building. So we have to remain relevant, Dave. Isn't that how you see the free market world. I mean, you've got to shift with shifts. You can't just sit here and go, well, we're just going to do it this way forever. It doesn't work.
Here's my suggestion on this topic, because you've kind of hit a sore point of mine, and mashed on it, this entire thing has. But I'll put it like this. If this is the way we're going to conduct business, if this is the way we're going to do things, what we really needed 70 years ago, we got to keep doing it. We got to keep refining this process. That's the problem. Why don't we have any new regulations on buggy whip manufacturers?
Exactly.
There comes a time where you have to cut bait because there are no longer any fish. Mm-hmm. And you're just wasting time and energy at that point.
I went back and did a little reading, and I love revisionist reading. Sometimes you go back and, you want to see if you remember things the way they were. And as the world we live in seems to be getting more of a large conglomerate.
No, I thought you were going to say stupid, but go ahead.
Well, that too. I mean, you see, go back to Teddy Roosevelt, the trust buster, and look at all of the things he did that people could be extremely critical of and say probably could have led into some of the Roaring '20s, some of the excess, and then also into the Great Depression. But the one thing he did was bust up these huge corporations as trusts and said, hey, that's not good for competition. It may be good for those large corporations, but it's not good for the people. And that was a very populist thing to do. Oh, that's much more difficult today. I mean, the power and the size of, let's just say, Boeing or GE. These are huge companies. So, I'm not sitting here saying you should bust them up. But what I am saying is we've gotten to the point, if you look at certificate of need laws, they do apply in this world. Because if something's gotten so large that a competitor can never come in and actually compete and offer maybe a service or something a little different, because you got to go through all this red tape, then where's the innovation? Well, it's chosen by government, and I don't know if that's the best model for us. I think people should. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. Ask me if that's the best model. I
don't think that's the way we ought to go, because when government gets involved in the free market, the prices always go up. Always.
The government. Personal opinion here. The government shouldn't be in charge of anything. The government should help the people be in charge of the people's business.
I agree. I mean, I think there are certain people. I had a great mayor that was one of my mentors, and he said, look, man, my job as a mayor of this town is to take care of the people of this town. I don't run as a Republican or a Democrat or this or that. It doesn't matter. You may have to put this by your name to win, but my job is to take care of the people of the city.
Yes.
That's it.
In whatever way that goal is best served.
That's who I serve. And that's, I think, understanding that, knowing your place and knowing who put you there and knowing who you answer to. I love talking to mayors because those folks know exactly who put them there. I mean, they know the 5,000 votes, every one of them by name. And they know what those people feel, what they believe. And so to me, some of the greatest politicians that are true to what they are some of the mayors in the state of Mississippi, because and probably everywhere, because they know their constituency, they represent them, and you can go knock on their door and say, why did you do that? And they'll answer that.
And that's the thing, because mayors and city boards all across the state run into a significantly higher percentage of the people that voted for them while they're out trying to buy their groceries and they're standing in line than do statewide officials, whether they be in the legislature or in one of the statewide offices.
Yeah, you're not going into Kroger with a bag over your head.
No.
Hiding from the people. And that segues into our next guest, because, I mean, look at what Starkville has done. I mean, it is booming. And a lot of that's going to come from the top, the leadership. And I'm so happy we have her on, because it does come into what we're talking about. How do you go about representing the people of your town and your constituency to the best of your ability?
We're going to give her the opportunity to weigh in on this and do a really impressive dance to try to stay out of trouble. Mayor Lynn Spruill joins us from Starkville right after the break on SuperTalk Mississippi Mornings. Keep it here.
From the SeabrookPaint.com Weather Center, I'm Bob Sullender. For all your paint and coating needs, go to SeabrookPaint.com. Today, some showers mixed with sunshine, high near 84. Tonight, a 20% chance of showers, partly cloudy, low around 66. Your Saturday, a 40% chance of showers, partly sunny, high near 87. And a look to Sunday, a 30% chance of rain, partly sunny, high near 86. This weather is service of our friends at Delta Auto on Highway 51 in Canton. If the engine is a diesel, meow, it's Delta. Delta Auto, Highway 51 in Canton.
You already know Pillium Corporation is fully committed to keeping your company safe and current with IT support, security, and forensics. And with Pillium Connect, we now offer cabling. From soup to nuts, Pillium is truly your one-stop source for innovative technology to help you grow and thrive in today's ever-evolving business environment. Learn more about Pillium Connect cabling and our other services at Pillium.com.
Smart people, smart business, smart solutions.
At Fillmore Buick GMC, we strive to make buying your next vehicle easy and take care of you long after you drive off the lot. That means upfront and honest pricing, doing everything we can to make the time you spend in the dealership as short or as long as you need. It means we understand that purchasing a vehicle is more than just a transaction for you. We want you to enjoy the experience as much as we appreciate your business. Find your next Buick, GMC, or pre-owned vehicle at FillmoreBuickGMC.com. Fillmore Buick GMC. You drive everything we do.
Diamond prices in most jewelry stores are downright scary.
That's why at Juniker's we're doing something about it.
Because starting this Saturday, April 26th, you can buy directly from the Diamond Cutter. It's the Diamond Expo at Juniker Jewelry Company.
Our diamond cutters are flying in fresh production of certified diamonds. Every size, shape, and price range. It's the Diamond Expo.
3/4 carat diamonds for less than $1,250.
1 carat starting at $2,500.
And 2 carat diamonds for only $10,000.
Plus, qualified buyers get up to 12 months financing, interest free.
Guys, this is how you buy a diamond.
Juniker's 2025 Diamond Expo. Save hundreds, even thousands, directly from our cutters.
7 big days, 2 huge weekends, now through Saturday, May 3rd. Juniker Jewelry Company, Mississippi's direct diamond importer. 1485 Highland Colony Parkway, just south of 463 in Madison, and JunikerJewelry.com.
I'm Kelly Bennett, and you're listening to SuperTalk Mississippi News. U.S. stocks rose Wednesday after President Trump appeared to back off his criticism of the Federal Reserve and tough talk on tariffs. Jeremy Nelson, the president of Element Wealth, thinks we'll see a slowdown in GDP growth.
Not necessarily a recession yet. Right, but you're going to see GDP growth rates slowing a little bit.
The S&P 500 climbed 1.4% and added to its big gain from Tuesday that more than made up for a steep loss on Monday.
The market is still expecting that we are going to get at least 2 rate cuts this year. And I think that that's probably a pretty good base case. You know, I don't think we're going to 2%. I don't think we'll get all the way to 3% by the end of the year unless you had some economic damage.
With mortgage rates in flux, the housing market remains unpredictable.
Your news, your talk, your weather, and your sports. All in one place. SuperTalk.fm. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. All in one place. SuperTalk.fm.
Tune in to Middays with Gerard Gibbert each weekday, live from the Element Wealth Studios. Is retirement on your mind? Do you have a plan? Go to myelementwealth.com to find your balance between income, growth, and guarantees.
$7 billion reinvested, thousands of new jobs, all happening on a main street near you. For over 40 years, the Mississippi Main Street Association has helped historic downtown districts across the state to revitalize. We spur economic development in the hearts of our communities, helping small businesses and driving quality of life projects that make our cities and towns better. Thank you to our state legislators, investors, and members who know that community revitalization happens on Main Street. Learn more at msmainstreet.com. That's msmainstreet.com.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Wake up, get up, and start your day right with Mornings with Richard Cross here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings with Richard Cross. Dave Hughes in on Friday as usual, and joining us now on the show here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the mayor of Starkville, the Honorable Lynn Spruill. How you doing this morning, Mayor?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day, Friday, before a nice weekend here in Starkville. Couldn't be better.
And before we get into the other stuff, because we have other stuff, because we tend to run our mouths before you get here, so we've now opened an entire can of worms. But before we get there, let's talk about what's going on in Starkville. What do you have going on right now?
Well, from a business standpoint, we are doing a whole lot of construction projects that are making a big difference for us. We've got a 182 project that is massive. We've got a Main Street project that we should be breaking ground on next month. We're still working on a major park renovation. So we've got a lot of stuff happening, a lot of construction going on. We're still overlaying streets and fixing curbs and doing ADA access to sidewalks and all kinds of things that cities do.
Well, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize when you're in a leadership position like mayor, especially for a growing town. Well, growing is not really the right term. I think we could officially refer to Starkville as exploding at this point, it seems like. That's a lot of plates to keep spinning on those sticks. You're running back and forth up the line all day, every day. There's a lot of things going on you have to keep straight, isn't there?
Well, there are. There are a few plates that you juggle. If you remember the old Ed Sullivan show, you're not old enough to probably remember that, but they had the guy that spun all those plates. A little bit of that, but when you've got so many good people on staff, you trust them and they do extremely well and they keep you in the loop. So I fly at the higher level and enjoy working with them and making things happen. So it's good staff and good people.
Well, but that takes, and I'm sorry, I'm going to brag about you and other leaders in general. No, you're just going to have to sit there and take it, Mayor. I'm sorry. It takes a good leader to assemble a good team and to manage a good team and to keep a good team motivated. So I don't think we can understate the importance of having the right person at the top, because without the right direction and the right motivation and the feeling that they've got somebody that's behind them and has their back to get the things done that need to get done, those things don't happen. And I'm just going to brag on you for that, and you're just going to have to accept it.
Well, that's very kind of you, but as you well know, I'm a weak mayor. So, it takes a council or a board, in my case, to be supportive of those visions, and they've embraced it. And we've all run in the same direction, which makes it really significant. That's when you can make those big changes.
Yes, when everybody starts rowing the boat in the same direction, you make a lot more progress a lot more quickly. We were talking before we got you on, Lance and I were, about the difference between being a mayor, for example, and being the governor or being in the state legislature. And it's that you have a much higher percentage chance of running into people that voted for you when you're out getting your groceries. There's a little more accountability in that level of elected position. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I absolutely would. And that's the beauty of it to me, is I can go to, what time do I go to the grocery store? Let me see. I'm going to make sure I go when I can see the most people, or else I want to go when I can hide, which would be late at night maybe. But no, you really do take advantage of the opportunity to be out in the community, because that's what you're supposed to do. You want to hear what they have to say. And a lot of times, everybody's happy, and that's a wonderful thing too. But there's always somebody who's got something that they're curious about, or that they've seen that they're not happy about, whether it's a traffic light or a pothole or whatever. But those things are important. And I say to everyone when I talk to a class out on campus, which I've done several times recently, that, I impact, or the board, the city impacts your life much more than the higher level positions that you vote for, because it not only is it a one person, one vote, but you've also got the opportunity to meet with me straight on, face to face, in ways that you don't necessarily for the state level either. I mean, nationally certainly, but on the state level as well. So I encourage them, in our local elections here in Starkville, my first election I won by 6 votes. The next one I was unopposed, which was quite nice. This one, it was a close race for me to get over the 50% to not have a runoff. But all our elections here have been fairly close, and it really does matter. And so you do listen, and you do want to understand what people care about.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's not necessarily, it's just a function of the way things are. I'm not knocking the accessibility of the governor or the legislature, or even taking it up nationally, as you just mentioned, to the president and the members of Congress and whatnot. It's just a function of the way things are. They just, physically don't have the ability to run into the majority of their voters when they go out for groceries. It doesn't work that way. But at the same time, that is very important. And I think you made a very good point there. And to me, the analogy to draw between the importance of a mayor and board versus the governor or the president is the difference between when you were in elementary school, who was more important in your day-to-day life, your teacher or the principal? And your teacher, because all day, every day, you want to go to recess today? Well, you better stay on the good side of the teacher. The principal won't even know. So there's
if you go to see the principal, you got other problems.
Yeah. Well, by the time it comes to the principal's attention, it's a whole different conversation. Then your parents are involved at that point. But that's why it's so important to have people in your more local offices that are responsive, like you're talking about, that are picking the busy times to go to the grocery store. I don't know how you find parking, but, picking the times where you can run into the most people and talk to the most people and hear from the most people, because that's one thing that has gotten lost. Everyone has become so cynical, and they think, well, nobody cares what I say. I've been saying this for years. I will continue to say this. The easiest way to make sure you're represented the way that you want to be represented is to let your elected officials know what you think and what you want. Because, and I hope I'm not going to out you as a member of the X-Men here, but I'm pretty sure you're not psychic, are you, Mayor?
I'm thinking not, no.
Okay. So you have to tell her. You can't sit at home and be upset and then complain when things don't go the way you want them to. You have to let everybody know, and we've kind of gotten out of that. Partially to blame is social media, I think. Everybody sits around and gripes to themselves.
Let me counter with that a little bit. I have used social media, whether it's Nextdoor, it's Facebook, or it's X. Now, I still want to say Twitter because it's more fun. Mm-hmm. I have used it almost daily to get messages from people. Now, some of them are snarky, and I try not to be snarky back. But a lot of times I have gotten some good information, like a traffic light or a water leak or something. It has come through social media. So it has been a benefit in that sense. Now, the anonymity associated with it is not quite so pleasant. A lot of times I know who those folks are because I have interacted with them in other ways, but it has a benefit. It has been a benefit.
Now, that is true, but social media is like anything else to me, just a tool, and it depends on the intent of the user and what they're trying to do with it. And so many people are swinging it around like a sledgehammer in a china shop most days. That's not helpful to anything. But what you're talking about is exactly what I'm talking about. You have to, whatever medium you use, you have to let your elected officials know what you think and what you would like to see happen. That's the only way it's going to come to their attention. And there's a much higher chance of getting a hold of you than getting a hold of the governor or the lieutenant governor or the president or the vice president or someone, because the mayor here is going to see it. She's going to hear it, and then she's going to take that into account as she's making the plans moving forward that her team is going to implement. Is that all fair, do you think?
That is very fair, and I have put my cell phone, my personal cell phone number out there. So I have on occasion gotten calls from numbers I didn't recognize, and I'll take the call. If somebody's telling me something, I will stop. But if it's a constituent, then I'm happy to respond.
Let me just say, okay, that explains a lot, because as it turns out, you are many things. You are effective. You're a great person. I always enjoy talking to you. You have some fantastic ideas, and apparently you're also crazy. You put your personal number out.
Yes, my personal number is not only on the city's website, it's on my Twitter or my X, it's on Facebook, it's on Nextdoor, and when people tab me, I give it to them. So if you want to get me, you can easily get me. Don't say you can't, because it would just be wrong.
And she's not going to say this. I'm a jerk. I will say it. I'm a jerk professionally. You're lying if you say you can't get a hold of her. I don't answer unrecognized numbers, so I admire you for that. That's a dedication that I don't think a lot of people can hold up these days. That's impressive.
It is part of what makes it a pleasure. I enjoy it, and so it is a labor of love. There's a lot of frustration, so I have learned pretty quickly when I need to delete what I've typed and rewrite it. But most of the time, it really is. You want to make a difference. I mean, that's why you're here. And if you're here for some other reason, then you need to be gone, because the intent is to do good for your
from the Venable
Mississippi. You're waking up to what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross. Right now on Super Talk Mississippi.
Well, preacher man talking on TV, cutting down my rock and roll. He wants me to send a donation. He says he's worried about my soul. Now Jesus walked on the water. Lord, I believe that's true. But sometimes I think Jimmy Swagger, and I'm gonna do a little walking too. And I ain't asking nobody for nothing. I can't get it all on my own.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Thanks so much to Mayor Lynn Spruill from Starkville. Always enjoy talking to her. That is someone who has this figured out, what the job is and what she should be doing to represent her people. We'll get back to the certificate of need thing in the next hour, Lance, because I've got something else I want to make sure I get in right now. And it's something that I have very rarely said. I'm a little bit disappointed in President Trump. I don't say that lightly. Yeah, I know, but just work with me here. Back in the middle of March, we had tornadoes, and of course this is impactful to me because right down here, right next to me in Walthall County, we had a couple of whopper stoppers, tore up a lot of stuff. Went through there last weekend, and the weekend before that too, going to various places. Through the tornado damaged areas, there are houses that they look like they've been bombed. Still, here, a month and a half later almost. Well, on April 1st, Governor Tate Reeves filed his request for individual assistance and public assistance for all the counties, not just Walthall, but all the counties affected by that severe weather outbreak. 18 tornadoes, severe storms, all sorts of problems. As of now, they still have not approved that. 20 different counties out of the 82 in Mississippi affected by this. MEMA has filled out all the appropriate paperwork. It's already been filed. It's been filed for a while. It's up there. It's waiting on approval in Washington. I would like to officially say, what is the holdup?
I don't know. I mean, I spent, growing up, I had both my parents were in the insurance world, one with Allstate, one with AIG. Know a little bit about the claims world. And I just had so much respect for the outside agents during things like Katrina and being able to get checks in the pockets of folks that needed lodging, needed food, needed the things that are now, not tomorrow, medicine. And there's really no excuse for bureaucracy to get in the way in that regard. To me, it's heartbreaking to to see people in great need like that in this country, and especially their livelihoods gone, homes destroyed, clothes strewn everywhere, nothing to eat, nowhere to go, and folks are still sitting there. I mean, Rolling Fork, great example. It took a good while. A lot of folks, again, there's no excuse for it to take that long in this country, given the resources and the bureaucracy that exists. It seems to me that maybe the bureaucracy is kind of getting in the way of it. And
well, it's even worse than that, and this is why I've got a bad feeling about this. And I'm not being particularly harsh right now, but if we get the same result that Arkansas got from their request for FEMA assistance from that same storm system on the 14th, 15th of March, they've been denied. FEMA came back and said, no, you don't get assistance. If they say the same thing for a storm event that killed 3 people in Walthall County alone, destroyed more houses than you can count, it still looks like a war zone over there right now, a month and a half later, because I've just been through there recently. What are we even doing at that point? So, got a little bit of a bone to pick. Let's go ahead and get in gear and get this approved so that we can help people. That's supposed to be the point. And I don't see a lot of action happening, and that's a little bothersome to me. There is a great article up at SuperTalk.fm with SuperTalk Mississippi News about this very thing that was published yesterday. Ben wrote it. Did a fantastic job, as he always does.
We got a great team over there.
Yes, we do. 3 people in Walthall County, 7 people total were killed by that storm system when it came through. Affected 20 counties. A quarter of the state was affected. Why is this something that they're having to think about for basically a month? I don't get that. I don't understand it. And I'm just going to be honest, because I know people that were affected down here personally. It's starting to tick me off a little bit.
Seeing people suffer that get up and go to work every day and put in and pay their taxes and do their part is just not a good thing. And I'm with you. You drive by, you wish there was more that just the average person could do, but you got to have approved providers. You got to have the roofer. You got to have all the things that are, what we consider in the construction world, contractors that are licensed. And so it slows down a lot of things when you have fewer providers too. You have fewer agents out. You have fewer outside folks. And that's where we've gone. It's a lot more automated in the world. We're trying to cost save and all that. We've removed a lot of the people from the ground. We put them in an office, and that slows stuff down.
Well, let me just say, once again, want to make sure this is perfectly clear. Governor Reeves did his job on time. MEMA did their job on time. This is 100% a Washington, D.C. holdup. 100%. And I'm already sick of it, I'm going to be honest. Coming up next, we've got news.
You're waking up Mississippi. From South Haven to Scuba, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings with Richard Cross, Dave Hughes in on a Friday as usual. Here on Super Talk Mississippi, the last hour brought to you by the folks at MWG Employer Services. You can call them today at 601-206-7966 or go to MWGEmployerservices.com and find out how to smooth the road that you're driving your business down.
Amen. I tell you, that stuff is no fun. I'm not a fan of paperwork.
No.
You let the people that do it well and have the system to do it for you. But yeah, and that question we had, about why has the state not stepped in? Why hasn't Mississippi done something for these folks? That's generally not how it works in disaster mitigation. The governor of the state is going to make that request to the federal government. The president generally can make a declaration that causes FEMA to step in. That needs to be a disaster declaration. FEMA's primary source of funding is the Disaster Relief Fund, also known as the DRF. Supports various programs, and in some cases, Congress could even vote to augment the money that is approved. But so the process is generally where the governor of whatever state is going to make that request first. And you wait for the federal disaster declaration, and that allows for more assistance. And FEMA generally steps in at the maximum that they're going to pay out is going to be $42,000 for housing and another $42,000 for other needs, assistance, and then a $700 one-time payment for critical assistance. So if you don't have a home right now, then that would be the type of thing that allows you to get some food, maybe some clothes on your back, and get a hotel room if that's possible. But that process has slowed down a bit because, yes, and it's not Trump or anybody. It's not DOJ. It's the reality that even before that, we were seeing immense delays in these processes. So we can blame
North Carolina comes screaming.
We can blame whoever you want, but we have ample evidence to suggest Hawaii, North Carolina, and quite a Rolling Fork under other administrations were dealing with even longer delays. So not quite sure we can blame any one person, but the system itself is very cumbersome and it is slow. And then finally, the thing that really gets you, how does FEMA determine the assistance? Okay. Well, the extent of damage to your home, they're going to send somebody out. They're going to check on that. So how many people you think FEMA's got?
Not that many.
Yeah, you think there's enough for FEMA to send out to all the disasters? I mean, California just had wildfires, and you got stuff all over. So first of all, I'd say there's probably a personnel issue with the ability, knowing a little about claims, you need people on the ground quickly. We had an issue with the cabin. It took months to get an adjuster from Birmingham out there. So you're asking the homeowner to do a lot of figuring and doing on their own in that time you're waiting. And again, not saying that anyone's trying to milk you for something, but the process is cumbersome. And so, so you go, why can't Reeves just write a check? That's generally not how it works. Because
there's another aspect of that too. Let's say you want to landscape your yard.
Yeah.
We'll use that as an example. And you've got this plan that needs it. It needs it bad. You got old dead tree stumps. You've got there's a squirrel. There's all sorts of problems that you need to deal with to get your yard back to a livable condition. You've got $50, but you might have $2,000 later. But you got $50 now, so go ahead and get started. Well, no, that budget affects how you plan, what you can do, how you can do it, how quickly you can do it. You have to know what you're working with before you start, which is why you don't generally see state funds roll out before the federal government has weighed in, because a lot of money is going to come from there.
Well, and your homeowner, too, is generally not going to go out there and start messing with a structure that has been damaged before an adjuster can come see what has happened.
Yeah.
You remember, I mean, how many of the old insurance commercials would you see about the tree fell on the house and that night the guy's there going, hey, let's get this claim put in? Maybe today, but it's not nearly as prevalent. So,
no.
I think we're dealing with, we're trying to adapt to a more information-oriented world where there's less people and more technology helping us do this, and we're likely experiencing some severe growing pains with less personnel and more automation. And that would be, to me, again, not trying to blame Biden or Trump or any administration. It just seems to me extremely cumbersome, and likely the personnel we're used to having as boots on the ground probably don't have as many of those anymore. I think they hired IRS agents for that instead. So,
yeah, but they're armed, so it's okay.
They're armed now, so you don't pay your property taxes, you're going to jail or something.
Let me rephrase it slightly. What I said originally on this in the last segment. I don't care whose fault it is. It's been a month and a half. There are people that, and when I say this, I've seen it with my own two eyes in Walthall County, literally don't have a roof on their home anymore. I don't mean there's a little section missing and they've got some blue tarps. There's plenty of that. I'm thinking about one house in specific that I passed by in rural Walthall County that literally half of the roof is completely gone. It's just, I mean, daylight is streaming directly into the rooms below. It's just gone.
And you can blame insurance companies a bit too, because the insurance company can get their butts out there. They can write a claims check. They can get money in your pocket. And FEMA, if indeed there is a disaster that is declared, FEMA will come back in and prorate the amount based upon what your insurance has already paid. So, you know, that's a double-edged sword problem here, honestly. I've seen it slow on the insurance company side, and apparently we're also dealing with, you know, government in its cumbersome nature. And you've paired those two together, and we're working with a tank stuck in the mud, maybe.
Well, and this they kind of go together a little bit, this issue and the certificate of need thing. Part of the reason that President Trump won bigly, as he would say, in November is the fact that the American people in general are tired of all the big companies and government offices fighting over who's going to have to do what while they squat in the dirt waiting for the help they've needed for a month and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not that complicated, that part of it. I don't care who wins the fight, guys. Nobody cares. Somebody is sleeping in the rain.
Yeah,
Let's fix it.
That's it. It's like, you know, starvation of people that work. You know, you don't want to see that. You know, people that have needs. You don't want to see people have needs and not being able to have them met, especially something like shelter or food or clothing.
Yes.
These are basic things. And, again, we have to move faster. That's everybody. And, you know, help your neighbor. That's the best thing. Help your neighbor the best you can, and don't get yourself in a situation where you're getting electrocuted or doing something that you're not qualified to do. Because again, those things matter when you go out and make repairs. You know, and the agent hadn't come out yet. You know, you're going to be out of pocket on certain things. So there is that nature of the beast that is complicated. And again, it's kind of like the certificate of need stuff. I mean, there's unnecessary layers maybe, and that is prohibiting things to flow more freely.
Yeah, you found a great article about the certificate of need problem, and even sent me a fantastic quote from it that basically all it's doing is preventing competition, as you were saying.
Yeah, that's it.
And that does not help the regular guy. But nothing seems to be designed to help the regular guy, usually while they're endlessly spouting off about how much they're helping the regular guy. The talk is cheap and everyone's over it. Let's get busy. Those storms happened March 14th and 15th. Today is April 25th. Well, what are we waiting on, guys?
Again, and is this, and I can't, I'm not speculating that it is. I'm asking a question. That is this something to do, as one of our listeners said, with the unintended consequences of DOGE? Are you looking at a president saying, hey, we want to get rid of FEMA, so these disasters that have potentially happened, there may be some lull in there while decisions are made? Yeah. I don't know the answer to that. I can only say that this problem has existed long before Donald Trump came into office, and I have witnessed it and watched it firsthand, and we need to do better and helping those that have had disasters hit. That's it. You know, that's your bottom line.
Yes.
Whether they were insured or not insured, you know, these folks have no roof over their head, and we've got to move a little quicker.
That's the thing. This is not a new problem. This didn't just start. We referred last year to Hurricane Helene and what happened up in western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee, for that matter, northeastern Tennessee. They had severe, ridiculous level problems, and it took forever for anyone to really do anything substantial to help them. And you can go back past that. Go ask the people in Waveland how long they were sleeping in tents on the foundation where their home used to be after Katrina 20 years ago.
Well, and I want
to clarify. This is not new.
Yeah, I want to clarify. We had a question. Okay, I'm confused. I had damage done to my house before storms, and I didn't get any government help. My insurance company took care of it. You want to know why? Because it wasn't deemed a federal disaster.
Right. Which is what we're waiting on here.
Yeah,
it's been declared a state disaster by Governor Reeves, and he has filed all the paperwork and asked for help from the federal government, as he rightly should. So, slightly different situation there. Yeah, not everything is a federal level disaster. When it is, though, we need to take care of it. Not when we get around to it, now. That's just my stance on that. And yes, I am fired up about this topic. We continue on mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi after this.
From the Venable.
Want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
I try to call you, but on the midnight watch I realize why twice you ran away. Think about how many times I have fallen. Spirits are using me, larger voices calling. Whatever brought you and me cannot be forgotten. I have been
Fun update for you in case you haven't heard about this. Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi. Dave Hughes here. China.
Yeah. China.
As you know, the whole tariff situation getting a lot of column yards at this point from the press. And of course it is the end of times. It is doomsday. It is the end of civilization as we know it. You don't believe me? Go check any mainstream media outlet and they'll be glad to explain that to you. Then, and I love this because it is a continuous no-win situation. Trump announced the tariffs to go into effect, and it was the end of the world. Then Trump announced he was going to start putting some exemptions in, some exclusions in, and lowering some of them. And that was the end of the world. Yeah. So you can't win no matter what you do. And the common refrain I keep hearing is, well, China doesn't care. They don't care. All they're going to do is retaliate with big tariffs because it's not going to affect them because we import way more than they do. Guess what China's doing right now? Guess what they're considering? In China, they are exempting some U.S. goods from their tariffs because their costs are going up and they're starting to have supply problems.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a discipline to make all this work. And I'll say this about the markets. If anyone thought our president was brain dead enough to tank the American markets and economy over tariffs, I don't know what y'all were listening to for 4 years. All he was trying to do was, A, create a leverage point, okay? B, I will say this. Most of the money out there, big money, knows how this stuff works. The markets are going to always retract on certain bad news and speculation. It gives folks with dry powder an opportunity to buy in at lower prices. And, I mean, this is one of those layups to me. I don't think you're going to see Donald Trump try to absolutely derail the global economy, America, which is the leader, for tariffs. Now, is he going to use that in a way that may rattle some folks and cause markets to gyrate? Yeah. But, again, if it was going to be that bad, this market wouldn't have settled where it did. Even before you saw a lot of volatility. But at the end of the day, I mean, Trump may have come to the table a little quicker because rates, and we know how rates are tied to collateral. I mean, you're not borrowing money if you don't have collateral. If your collateral drops, then your rates go up. So, there is that intrinsic intertwining of money with development and all this. But at the end of the day, there's no way that this president is going to tank the American economy, in my opinion, for the sake of a few percentage points on trade. I don't see it happening, and it just should present an opportunity for folks to be patient and buying at the opportunities.
It's a very complicated thing that he's dealing with, and he's trying to work through for the benefit of the United States. Unfortunately, we do have a media ecosystem in this country that purposefully misunderstands what's happening. They do it on purpose so it can be sensational, so they can make a big deal out of it. So
everything's the National Enquirer now. Everything is the National Enquirer.
Oh, come on. You're giving them too much credit. Everything's the Weekly World News now.
You have a shred of truth.
Will be up for a cabinet position according to the mainstream media.
Yeah, there's a shred of truth in most every article, but then there's a great deal of editorial work put into it, and that affects people. Just what I would say is dig through facts. Don't allow the media to influence you, because that's the job today of the mass media, is generally to push you in a direction so they likely can get something out of it. Let's just be honest.
Yes,
if we don't understand
the
the bottom line, always go back to the money. Somebody's making a lot of money off of a 5,000 or 6,000 point dip, and chances are it's not me and you. So
always follow the money. Yeah. Yes, that is a golden rule of life. But the one thing that I notice that the mainstream media, and it has bled over to the general population, because I've seen a lot of people in various other words and phraseologies say something along the lines of, what is he doing? He doesn't know what he's doing. This is crazy. This is insane. You don't understand that. Well, you don't understand a basic truth that President Trump understands. It's all a game. He's playing the game. He's playing the game by the rules of the game. The tariffs, and one of the criticisms I've heard is, oh, well, they were too big. You ease into this. You negotiate this. You don't do just walk in like that. Well, if you want to really get someone's attention focused on you, and your two options are to stick your head in the door and go, excuse me, when you have a minute, I'd like to have a conversation about this. Or you kick the door down and slap them in the face. Which one is going to have their attention more focused on you? Mm-hmm. That's what he did. And that's kind of the way he does things. He doesn't do things by half measures.
No, and he does things with shock value as well.
Yes, on purpose, because it gets the attention of the people he's trying to get the attention of.
Well, and I think that's a great way of putting it, too. And also, it breaks the conventional way of thinking, the conventional wisdom, the echo chamber that you've been in for so long. And that is, in many ways, the hardest thing to deal with Donald Trump as a president, is that you're hearing things you're not used to hearing for decades. So he's breaking the glass, and now things are getting out. People are like, oh, my God, how's this going to work? Well, things worked fine before we implemented a lot of this stuff we've been doing for 50 or 60 years post-World War II. Do we still need all this stuff in place? Can a government bureaucracy decide at some point we don't need this anymore and let's move it off the table and put our funds somewhere else? And
look, we're circling back to certificate of needs again.
Anything. I think he's looking at this in a way that is not comfortable for so many people, even consumers out there going, how is this going to affect me? It's something we haven't dealt with. And anytime that unknown creeps in, you're going to always have the uncertainty, and markets do that, and they're going to jump around all over the place. The reality is the long term truly tenable? Can he negotiate a good trade deal for the United States? I have confidence that he can, because if America were extremely disciplined and didn't mind dealing without certain things for 3 months, you could break China. You could break them.
Well, that process has started. Financial Times is reporting that in China, factories are shutting down and workers are being laid off because, and I'm going to read what's in quotation marks here, our export orders disappeared, end quote.
And that's what I'm saying. We consume all their stuff. We are the largest consumer of their stuff. And if you quit consuming their stuff, then you're going to say, well, that's going to hurt everybody. Well, it puts pressure on China first. And if we have any discipline and any kind of gumption for this stuff, we can kind of push a little harder as a people and not just putting it into the president's lap. But we have to be disciplined.
Has one of the hardest jobs imaginable because of the way he's going about things and what he's trying to accomplish, because he is basically, back to your point you made a moment ago, he is basically serving the role of a cult member deprogrammer. Yes. The entire economy, the entire federal government, a big majority of people on both sides in America have been programmed to think the way they think, to act the way they act, and to believe what they say they believe in. And to break that spell, well, that's not a pretty process. Ask anyone who has looked into anything surrounding cults and how they work.
They fight hard.
What happens?
They fight real hard to keep it hidden and keep it going the way it was. Look at the legal side of what we're dealing with now with all these, regional and local federal judges, trying to stop everything that a president's doing because their brain has exploded at this point, and this is nothing they can comprehend. Oh, my God, this is not. But at the end of the day, I will promise you one thing here. Everyone that's throwing a fit about bringing Trinidad Aragua back and all this junk and all these, there's money involved. I promise you, because it doesn't make sense otherwise. It makes no sense. You say, they want votes. For what? For money. I mean, all this has got to come back to the dollar and the power of that to go out and influence elections and influence people. And the Soros model, there's money in this, and that's what we really need to get back to is how are these federal judges getting funded? Where is the impetus for these decisions coming from?
Well, it's not even at the federal level. I'm sure you saw the news that broke.
Exactly.
Former New Mexico Magistrate Judge Joel Cano and his wife were arrested.
Yeah, arrested.
Because they were harboring a Tren de Agua gang member who was in the country illegally. He was staying at their house.
Oh, he's hanging out, baby. He was having a big time.
They were cooking him supper.
Yeah, they probably had a pig buried in the backyard and smoking it, having a big old cookout.
Yeah. So this
That's
is an ongoing.
Yeah,
it's a judge. That is a judge, which is a pretty good statement on what's been going on for a while as it is. When we come back, Matt McDonnell with the Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center. Do you feel like a party and a music festival and some crawfish? Boy, do we have good news to tell you about right after this on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Seabrook.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings. Dave Hughes here. And joining us now, Super Talk, proud to be one of the sponsors of something that Matt McDonnell has put a lot of time and effort into. Blood, sweat, and tears, not necessarily in that order. He's with the Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center. We're talking about the Crawfish Music Festival this weekend. How you doing this morning, Matt?
Dave, I'm doing great, man. I would have to believe that our playlist would be very similar. I enjoy the music that you lead in and lead out of. So I would think that we share a lot of interest in music.
Well, and I will say the majority of credit where it's due, that comes from Lance, aside from occasionally I'll suggest something, once or twice I have, but Lance picks that. But I will say I haven't disagreed with the choice he's made yet. So yeah, I think we're rowing the same boat here. Tell us about the festival. What's coming up this weekend down there?
Well, this is our 32nd year. The only time that we ever had to pause it was during COVID, which we had the entertainment lined up. The world wouldn't let us party that weekend, so we had to pause it that year. But this year, we opened on Wednesday. We had a pretty good night Wednesday. We had a great night last night. And then tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday is when all of our national entertainment hits the big stage. And this is the largest production that we've ever done outdoors for any event, much less the Crawfish Festival. So we're looking forward to a really big weekend. Starting tonight at 5 o'clock. Our gates open on Saturday and Sunday at 1 p.m. And we go till 11 o'clock tonight, 11 o'clock Saturday night, and about 8 o'clock on Sunday night.
Okay. Now give us some of the acts that you've got coming starting tonight and over the weekend, because you got some good people coming.
Well, we kind of mixed it up this year. We went one night of kind of country genre, and then 2 nights of rock and roll. And the rock and roll side has really taken off. I think people have been waiting for a long time to be able to see some of these classic rockers that we're bringing in. When I say classic rock to you and me is a different genre. Classic rock to people younger than us are stuff that's played on your sister station, WCPR. And I can't even begin to tell you how big of a promotion that they have done to get us the numbers that we're going to get this weekend. For years, radio has always been a staple of this event. And then with the advent of digital media, radio kind of lost some of its luster. And it's been a long time since we've had radio promotion like this, and it's going to pay dividends. But tonight we will start off. Our headliner tonight is a young man by the name of Gavin Adcock. He's also playing at Brandon Amphitheater a week from tonight, and he's going to get very close to a sellout there. So it's a big act for us. Gavin Adcock and Dylan Carmichael will hit the stage tonight. Then tomorrow we've got a regional favorite out of New Orleans, Cowboy Mouth, along with Hinder, Marcy's Playground, and Puddle of Mud. And then on Sunday, we open up with Sister Hazel, Everclear, and Brett Michaels from the Poison era of hair band rock and roll.
Oh, don't get me started on hair bands. We'll be here all day. I absolutely love that. But then that's from our time. That's what we enjoyed. You know? No,
and you know what? What we're seeing is a rebirth almost of the 90s, late 80s and 90s genres of music. Whether it's hip hop, old rock and roll, old R&B. I mean, we're seeing great ticket sales because people want to relive that era in their life. They want their kids to understand what they grew up listening to. And so we're able to take advantage of it. And as I get older, I've watched the evolution go from the classic genre of rock and roll, because some of those bands pretty much are done. They don't tour anymore. A lot of them have passed this world on. And, you know, so you got to keep evolving, and that's what we're doing, and it's definitely paying dividends.
You know, I want to throw in a weird suggestion from out of nowhere you might want to look at in the future to get in there for some sort of position on one of the stages. First heard them at the French Food Festival down on the Bayou in Louisiana. It's a band called Contraflow. And if you like classic rock, we were there, my wife and I, and we were leaving, and they started playing, and they started doing Separate Ways by Journey, and it literally stopped me in my tracks, and I stood there to listen to them in the parking lot because he nailed it. I mean, the whole band was just perfect, so that's my personal recommendation. Bringing that up, though, my wife, born and raised on Grand Isle, as far south in Louisiana as you can go. I told her about the festival this weekend, so I'm hoping you can help me give her an answer to the question she immediately had. What do these Mississippi people know about crawfish?
You'd be surprised. You know, I was sitting there listening to y'all talk about some wigged out judge out west that was harboring illegal aliens, and you were talking about barbecues. Well, barbecue definitely works here. I mean, a lot of people have grills and they cook out, and it's a normal thing like it is everywhere else in America. But this time of year, it's not barbecue. It's crawfish boils. And we know how to boil crawfish. We know how to suck the head, pinch the tail, and pull it out with your teeth and enjoy those mud bugs, okay? And it's a big, big industry here in South Mississippi. It really starts up after Easter. But there are a lot of restaurants that carry crawfish before Easter. They're just very expensive. Now that Easter's behind us, crawfish prices have come down. We've got phenomenal deals. You can get a 3-pound platter of crawfish at our festival with corn and potatoes. And these aren't juvenile crawfish. These are granddaddy crawfish for $17, right? You go to restaurants and they're $25, $28, $23. Every now and then you'll catch a deal where somebody's doing them for $20, but we're doing them for $17. Admission to the festival this weekend is $25 for a GA area, or if you want a reserve seat, we have those starting at $30. So a lot of different options, and we have a tremendous Carnival Midway out of Alabama, a company called Kissel Entertainment. And we have rides this year that we haven't had in the 48 years of our existence. And I mean, we do a big midway every year, just like they do up in Jackson for the state fair. We've used those same ride guys for many, many years, but we switched companies this year, and we are definitely seeing the payoff because these rides are phenomenal. The atmosphere is great. If you have young kids, it's family friendly. I've got lots of pavement, concrete, and asphalt for you to push your strollers on. I've got lots of giant oak trees for you to lay under and enjoy the breeze off of the Gulf and listen to great music all weekend long. And it looks like the weather is definitely going to cooperate.
Yeah, it looks any rain that we're going to get looks like it's going to go to the north part of the state, so we don't have to worry about that down on the coast, it looks like, for right now. Now that I've said that, I hope I didn't jinx it. It's my fault if it rains. I'll just go ahead and take that hit.
Hey, you know what, though? We've got such a large stage that's completely covered that a quick shower, nothing that's going to set in, won't stop us. It might delay us for 15, 20 minutes, but the beauty about where we are, we can go for a while.
Now, tell people, let's run down again the opening times and tell them how to get there.
Okay. First of all, I want to say to all of your listeners, being anywhere in the state of Mississippi, you can get to the coast in normally 5 hours or less. And for folks around the Jackson area, you can make it in under 3 hours. So it's an easy drive to the coast. Normally 49 will get you all the way in. No matter where you are in the state, if you can jump on 49 and come and go due south, it's 4 lanes all the way through. Easy drive and actually a really pretty drive. And we would love to have you come down for the weekend. Hotel rooms aren't crazy like they are at other events here because of the fact that there's so many activities going on the coast this weekend. We expect to have lots of people in town. The gates open tonight, 5 o'clock. They open tomorrow at 1 o'clock and Sunday at 1 o'clock. We'll go to 11 o'clock tonight. We have pay one price ride bands at a discounted rate. We've got crawfish. We've got great music, lots of vendors, lots of other food. If you don't like crawfish, it's just a tradition that we've had for 32 years, and we're going to keep going.
No, most definitely. Matt? You're doing good work down there, and you got great taste in music, so I like you already. It's a great job, and looking forward to seeing you guys down there this weekend for the Crawfish Festival with some great bands. You had me when you said Hinder, by the way.
Oh, wow, and so you actually skew a little bit younger. I like that. But I want to say once again, though, to your stations, okay, all of your stations, Steve Davenport has been a friend of mine for a number of years. Y'all do such a phenomenal job in promoting not just this event, but all of the shows that are in your wheelhouse that promoters all over the country know about WCPR. They know about Kenny Vest. They know the product that he can deliver, and they can make money coming to South Mississippi because.
From the Venable Glass Traffic Center, I'm Patty Steele. Venable Glass has 2 locations in Richland on 51 North and Brandon at 209 Woodgate Drive, Cross Gates. Call 601-605-4443 for all of your glass needs. Taking a final look this morning, traffic moving smoothly. We are all clear with no accidents or major congestion. Need heavy haul transportation you can trust? Call Southeastern Services. They move the big stuff with care and precision. From oversized loads to machinery, call Southeastern Services, your trusted partner on the road.
Hi, I'm Josh Quick, the owner of Mid-South Crawl Space Solutions, formerly known as Clean Space of Central Mississippi. Our name may have changed, but our expertise remains. An unhealthy crawl space can invite mold, bugs, and buckling floors. This affects not only your crawl space, but compromises the health of your entire home. Our Clean Space system will transform your crawl space into a dry, healthy, clean environment that will save you energy and money. No more moisture, no more mold, no more smells. Still doing free estimates at mscrawlspace.com.
I'm Jan with Keepers and Beautiful. Come explore our award-winning wildflower field and art park on West Jackson Street. We have miles of trails and green spaces in Ridgeland. Remember to leave these spaces cleaner than you found them. Help keep our city litter-free.
At Key Constructors, our mission is to build a legacy that will stand the test of time through hard work, dedication, and pursuing excellence. Key Constructors is a heavy civil construction company, a leader in the bridge construction world. Our goal is to provide a positive work environment for you to grow personally and in your career. We are proud of who we are and what we do, making it happen one bridge at a time. Come join our team of Black Label Bridge Builders. Check out Key Constructors on Facebook and other social media platforms and keyconstructors.com.
The best made-to-order lunch is right around the corner at 4th and Gold Sports Cafe. Eat in or carry out, DoorDash or Grubhub. Call 769-208-8283. That's 769-208-8283. Once again, 769-208-8283.
Why trust Coleman Taylor Transmissions to repair your transmission?
We want the customer to feel comfortable when this process is done, whether they need a transmission repair or not. They have full control of the situation. So they can take their vehicle somewhere else, they can have us fix it, but they can drive their vehicle away if it's drivable. We're trying to just have an honest assessment of their car and them be able to make a decision without feeling locked into anything.
Call Coleman Taylor Transmissions today at 601-355-8526 or go to ColemanTaylorJacksonMS.com.
Think for a moment about everything you own. The furniture, closets full of clothing, kids' toys, all that stuff in the garage. Moving to a new location, whether it's across town or across the country, can be stressful on you and on your belongings. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck. They can move a few items from room to room, rearrange furniture, or carefully pack everything and deliver it safely to your new location. When you need friendly, reliable moving services for home or business, call Two Men in a Truck, the movers who care. TwoMenInATruck.com.
Are you thinking about retirement, or are you recently retired? Do you have a plan, or do you have a drawer full of statements? If your answer is the latter, then you're not retirement planning, you're retirement hoping. Risks and inflation are rising, and planning is critical now. At Element Wealth, our exclusive 360 process can create a strategy to help protect what you've worked so hard to build, while still providing growth. To start the conversation, visit myelementwealth.com or call 601-957-6006, 601-957-6006.
While most people are settling into their cubicles and sifting through their inboxes, others are busy building the foundation of the future. One brick, pipe, and electrical line at a time. The construction industry in Mississippi needs over 100,000 skilled tradespeople now. If you're looking for an in-demand, well-paying career, visit BuildMississippi.com to discover rewarding careers in the trades. BuildMississippi.com. Your future is waiting. Let's build it.
This is Brian Haydad with Sports Talk Mississippi, the Magnolia State's #1 sports show. Get the show wherever you get your podcast.
Find out what's happening across your state. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi.
Hey, I couldn't find Sex and Candy Marcy Playground, although a great song.
Yeah, well, and you know, I mentioned that's the only song that comes to mind.
There is no other. I went
Marcy's
through
Playground.
I went through the whole list of them, and I'm like, I don't know any of those, but.
You know, Hinder, of course, Lips of an Angel. They had a couple of hits, but that was their one big one. But that's a great lineup they've got this weekend.
I mean, you know, 15K to 40K is what it takes you to book Marcy Playground. So they must still bring in a crowd.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
I wonder how many times they do Sex and Candy.
I think it's
show.
four times. They open and close with it, and then there's two in the middle.
Got to be two in the middle, yeah. And then some other unidentifiable songs.
Yeah. They probably all sound good, though, you know.
But you know what? Good for them. You create something that's
right.
awesome, that people love. You ride that pony.
Hey, and that's one thing you got to really love, and I would always pat on the back of Mississippians for their creativity and their ability to create things that people really enjoy. I mean, great example is one of our we cherish Steve Azar, but I mean, you know, just having somebody like that you can learn from and watch and see how it all works. But being a creative soul, I grew up with an artist as a grandmother, and they never think it's good enough. You know, this is not good enough. Yeah. Stick it over in a corner somewhere, and then, you know, eventually somebody goes, "Hey, what is that?" Or what's that song? Or what is that? You know, what is that? And it comes out, and you know, and people enjoy it. But that creative person, you know, they always looking for that perfection, and I think that's what drives them so much. And it's amazing that we have so many talented people here. It really is.
There is so much truth in what you're saying, and I will just say this, and you can ask Steve; he'll tell you the same thing. It's been a couple of years. We had a conversation about this very thing. When you create something, because I've done a little bit of everything in my life in terms of creative work, people may think it is the best thing that ever happened and absolutely love it. And the person that created it can immediately point out 10 things wrong with it.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately. Because that's all you see once you're done. It's like, oh, man. Your first reaction half the time is, wait, you like that?
Yeah.
Really?
It's
Why?
a shock.
It stinks.
It's a shock.
You might get to a level of high praise. I did something last week, and I said, that was pretty good. And my wife literally drops her phone and looks at me and says, are you okay? She had never heard me say that. Yeah. That's just the way it works. So, 100% correct. Talking about Steve, by the way, part 2 of an interview with motivational speaker and communications expert Randy Harrington today on In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, presented by Superior Catfish. Superior Catfish, because Dave likes eating.
Oh, man, I crushed so much catfish a week ago. We went to a catfish buffet.
Oh
man! It was
man.
It was something. It had been a long time since I'd buffeted up on some catfish, and I definitely got my money's worth. And probably they probably felt like I owed them more when I left.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. We actually had one. I was good friends with a person that owned a restaurant that had an all-you-can-eat catfish fillet thing on Thursday nights, and it turned into a running joke when he saw me and the family pull up, because we were always there every week. As we were walking up, he'd run over and he'd flip the door sign from open to closed and just stare at me. No, not you.
I used to have a system.
Pay rent.
Yeah, I used to have a system at like the all-you-can-eat catfish places. I'd get an extra. I'd be like, as soon as I got there, I'd say, "Hey, would you give me a few extra napkins?" I'm kind of a messy eater. And then the first 3 or 4, when everybody's just grabbing and eating it like you're starving, they always notice when they bring that last plate, if you're doing it at a place where they bring you the catfish. But so I would do it at the very beginning. I'd take like 3 or 4 fillets, wrap them up in the paper towels, and then stick them in a jacket pocket, I mean, I just ate those as fast as you could eat catfish. And like, man, you're hungry tonight. Yeah, I'm starving. And I would always pirate like 5 to 6 of those and, have a little snack the next day. Just, you got to remember to pull it out of your pocket, though.
It's like an old martial arts philosophy, the way of the catfish pocket fillet.
I'm telling you, bro, there's been several times where I put that jacket on the next day and there's catfish in the pocket. And I'm like, man, I just ruined my system. But, you got to remember to get it out of the pocket. That's the key to that. I haven't washed a jacket yet with a catfish fillet in it, but I'm working on it. Yeah,
it's going to happen. I would like to point out, by the way, I don't know if you've seen this, everybody is all up in arms. Well, not everybody. The people that don't get it are up in arms. President Trump this week, I think it was yesterday, might have been the day before, officially launched on his site red hats that say Trump 2028.
Ooh, that'll rattle some brains.
Oh, my gosh. The trolling level is as high as you can get in the ranking system. So many people are losing their mind, and he's sitting back laughing his behind off at this whole thing. He's like, oh, yeah, that'll fire him up.
Get ready for your weekend, folks. Yeah.
Get ready for your weekend. The Trump 2032 hats will be out soon. I have no doubt.
I think that'll be Barron Trump 2032. Huh?
Yeah. Same Trump. The merch would still work, so we can carry forward from there. Lance, enjoyed it as always, buddy.
Have a great weekend, Dave. It's a pleasure.
You too. We will do it again soon. You have a safe weekend. Go enjoy the Crawfish Festival. Tell Hinder and Marcy's Playground we said hi. And we'll do it again next week, my friend. I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.